Hello, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Dial.
This is Roads Optional. So this channel is kind of meant to be a more overlanding focused, off-road vehicle focused. I mean, we're in Colorado, beautiful place to have some video content. I actually have another channel called Flywheel Films that's been super focused on Miatas, fun cars of all sorts. Also a lot of Colorado stuff, but also road trips and things. So definitely check out that channel if that's something you're interested in. But me and Dial and hopefully some other people like my brother, we've got some overlanding capable vehicles becoming increasingly more capable. Obviously his over there is a bit more built. We'll do another video on his build, of course, and we're hoping to hit a lot of trails out in the future. So we'll do a whole other video like actually talking about the channel in the future when we get things a bit more sorted, but this is literally the first thing. So the purpose of this is going to be a quick discussion on why I got this Jeep specifically. This is the 2005 Jeep, I guess, Rubicon of the TJ generation, but kind of often called LJ, which I guess is long Jeep. And that's actually what Dial has over there as well. So we met because I basically looked on Facebook. I found this on Facebook Marketplace, and then I looked on the Facebook group and I was like, hey, does anyone know anything about Jeeps? Because I don't know anything. And this guy did. You've had yours for how long?
8 years. I've had mine for 8 years.
8 years, Jesus.
I know things specifically about the Jeep LJ, the TJ Unlimited.
Yeah, so yeah, found the TJ Unlimited. Once I found out this existed, I kind of just had to have it. So my original budget was like 7-8K, like that's what I was kind of looking for. And you can find TJs in that budget for sure. Yep. And honestly, for like typical basic trails, like they can handle it. Like Jeeps are still very functional, capable vehicles. Yep. Even like the base models, like Sport. I don't even know all the trims. Sahara.
Yeah. Like Sport X.
Yeah.
Sahara, Rubicon.
Yeah. So TJ ran from 97 to 06, so about a 9-year run. And in 2004, late 2004, was the introduction of the LJ or the Unlimited. Now, a lot of you guys know Unlimited means 4-door Jeep right now. But before that, briefly, for about 2.5 years, it actually meant 2-door long wheelbase. Yep. And once I found out that was a thing, this is why I had to have it. So here's mine. And unfortunately, I kind of doubled the budget for 2 reasons. Partially because LJs just fetch a lot more money. And this is specifically an LJR, or basically what they call Rubicon, which fetches more money. But the perks of that seem to be, I think they weighed nicely.
Well, so you've got a 10-inch longer wheelbase than a standard TJ wheelbase, and then you've also got a little bit more back seat room, as you can tell by the longer hard top, and this rear window really gives it away. It looks a little bit elongated compared to a regular TJ. The entire body is 15 inches longer, and that gives you, I think it's 2 inches more foot room in front of the rear passenger seat, and then 10-inch more cargo space behind the passenger seat.
Yeah, and we can see that here. So yeah, the long window and then also this extra space behind the door, those are the like instant giveaways. So if you ever see an LJ on the road, or if you see a 2-door Jeep and you're like, is that an LJ or a short one? That's an easy way to find out. So here's a quick look at the trunk, obviously full of stuff right now, but totally usable. Because this is my biggest vehicle, that's one reason I decided to, I guess, extend myself to the LJ, because my other car is a Miata. So having this much room is awesome. And I did find out yesterday, which I can show another video or a clip of, removing the seats really easy. And then with the front seats leaned forward, which is how you get into the rear seat, I could lay down in here perfectly, like completely flat. I'm 6 foot tall and I could car camp in this thing. So that was a huge perk as well.
I'd like to see that.
Dude, it was awesome. And 2 people could. I mean, hopefully you like the other person, because you're working with not crazy width, like, I don't know, single bed type thing.
Yeah, you could fit.
You could fit 2 people. So I extended the budget because of the LJ. I extended the budget because of the Rubicon. So we talked about what the differences of the LJ, like the length, and also with the TJ generation, you could have a inline 4. Is it inline 4? Yeah, inline 4.
Yeah, inline 6. Or inline 6. The 4 is basically the exact same as the 6. They just chopped off 2 cylinders.
Yeah, and the inline 4 got a slight update in like 03, I think. But the LJ only had the inline 6, so I didn't have to worry about that, because we are up here at altitude. Right now we're at 6,200 feet. naturally aspirated vehicles struggle at altitude.
Yep.
And then from here, you just go higher into the mountains. So I was like, I do not want a 4-cylinder, even if I was looking at the short wheelbase. So if you're at altitude, I would probably say just get a 6-cylinder if you can. And then I did a lot of deliberating on manual versus auto. It's hilarious how polarizing of a subject that is.
Yeah.
Like, people just fight on both sides, which is fine. Like, that's cool that you're you're passionate about it. I ended up with the manual. This is a 6-speed manual. Earlier TJs also had a 5-speed, and this is a 6-speed built by Mercedes. And then the engines, of course, are AMC. I think that's who built those, right? Originally, yeah. So
AMC design.
Yeah, AMC design. So kind of an old school. We'll open the trunk here, or hood.
They used to talk about EVs.
Yeah, yeah, I work with EVs a lot in my day job, and this is not an EV at all. But here's kind of the inline 6 underneath the hood. You guys probably are mostly familiar with that. Easily accessible airbox, nice and high, so you could do some, I guess, water weighting if you needed to. I don't know the actual depth these are rated to, but
yeah, you'd probably get water in your differential or something before, before your airbox.
Yeah, so and this has cruise control, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's your cruise control module.
Yeah, so learning the ins and outs of this thing. Easily accessible oil filter there. That's got to happen soon, I think. Oil change. Just changing the oil without even lifting the vehicle is going to be weird, because the Miata you have to like raise up super high just to get under there.
Yeah, you're new to this, but it's super convenient to work on. You can just lay underneath it and see everything and how it works.
Yeah, yeah.
No jack required.
Yep. So this is yeah, and then 16-inch like Moab wheels, as they call them, I think, which I definitely like, but I would consider 17s or 15s even, probably 17s. Just for, it's easier to find tires for 15s and 17s for some reason. 16s are like the stepchild of wheel size. But it is funny, my Miata and this both have identical wheel specs. Even the lug pattern is the same. So I could literally take my like Miata wheels and throw them on here, which would look hilarious.
That's funny. You could do that.
Yeah, even the center board is like almost the same. So yeah, as far as modifications, this one was mostly stock. So I guess I could say why this one specifically, because I'm not opposed to buying cars nationwide. Like with the Miata, I knew what I wanted, waited for 4 months for one to pop up, found it in Ohio, and flew out there, drove it 1,000 miles back, learning manual the whole way. It was great.
That's fun.
This one was super conveniently in Boulder, which is like that town right there. So I was thrilled to find one locally. I would have preferred lower miles, but this one has 180,000 miles, which is still fine. It's mostly about, like, they had really good, perfect service history, like service records dating back to like the beginning. A lot of major stuff done. Even like the rear main seal was done recently. So nice. Like major maintenance has been super well documented. And even the underside is pretty good. The Miata definitely had some rust. It was an Ohio car. I don't know exactly where this one's been the whole time, but no major rust issues. Just some like surface stuff, especially on the exhaust, but that's pretty normal. But I think we could do a whole other video on like what to look for with rust and stuff, but definitely like body mounts, and there's a few places where rust is more prone, or along the fenders. These things are definitely known to rust, especially if you buy them up in the Northeast. So I was originally looking like southern states. But yeah, the LJs, I don't know. This is the only LJ Rubicon I found for under 20 grand. A lot of them were mid-20s.
And so do you want to give an overview of what the Rubicon features are?
Yeah, you want to talk us through some of that?
Sure. So it's an LJ, so it already comes with a Dana 44 rear axle. Factory, that's the only option you get with the LJ. The TJ, you got a few other options like a Dana 35, but this one also, because the Rubicon comes with a Dana 44 front axle, it also has locking differentials that are air actuated. The later generation JKs had electrical actuated electrical actuated differential lockers, but the TJ Rubicons have air actuated lockers. They run off 5 psi pumps. They're mounted on the transfer case skid plate, and they just actuate when you press the locker button. You get these nice rock rails right here underneath the passenger door on the rocker panels. Those are pretty solid. They pretty strong, and will take a good bit of abuse. You can ask me how I know. And then you also get, which is one of my favorite features of the Rubicon, these 1-inch wider flares. So these are 1 inch wider than a standard TJ flare. They just give it a little bit more tire coverage, but I think it just gives it a little bit better look, a little bit more aggressive, and it's, a little wider stance. It's got a 4-to-1 low gear, so super low crawling for rock crawling, and that's a very desirable thing to have in your Jeep when you're into hardcore off-roading.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty wild. Like you showed me when we first went up to see this thing. Basically, I found Dial, and I was like, I need someone to come that like knows a bit more about Jeeps when I'm looking at this thing. So I looked at it once, drove it. I was like, that's pretty cool. And then took Dial next time, and yeah, he drove it, and it was like, wow, this thing's really feeling pretty solid. You know, definitely not a young car. It's got some high mileage. There's definitely some things that it might need at some point, like maybe bushings and whatnot, but none of those are the end of the world. Like this is the easy thing to work on. And I was just really worried about rusty bolts, and it seems like the bolts are pretty much fine.
Yeah, this is a lot cleaner platform than I had to start with. And yeah, as far as off-road capabilities, this is like top of the line for its generation, and it's still very competitive even with things that are coming out and nowadays, even though it's what, 15, 20 years old almost?
Almost 20 years old. Jeez, yeah. So yeah, basically with the LJs, like I said, late 2004, and then 2005 and 2006. Now 2004, every single 2004 you see is an automatic, 4-speed automatic built by Chrysler. So not the best automatic. And I thought about automatic for sure. Like I was like, it might be nice to have one automatic vehicle just in case someone needs to borrow a car.
Or you break an arm or a leg.
Yeah. Then I was like, wait, I don't really want people to drive my cars anyways. So I guess, yeah, basically all my cars are manual, and I guess if they know how to drive manual, then I'm probably trustworthy enough to have them drive my cars. The automatic would be nice off-road in some ways, but also just the way that, like when we went to test drive this, you showed me how the low range thing's working. Like you could just crawl at like 2 miles an hour, no clutch or gas, it just crawls like super low range. And it's super cool. That is the opposite of a Jeep right there. So yeah, the low range is pretty great off-road, honestly. I just think the manual vehicles are just really fun. They're super engaging to drive on-road or off-road. Like just on-road, it feels like I'm driving a tractor around, just like huge throws with the shifter. The Miata's like a really tight, like it's a completely different experience. And you drove that, like it's completely different.
No, it's totally different.
But I think it's a super fun transmission. And I also heard like some people had like issues with the automatic sometimes overheating. Now there's always ways you can address that. You can add more aggressive cooling. There's even an issue with automatics where they had like some way that they would get flooded, I think, the transmission. But that's also addressable. Like a lot of things are known. Jeeps are such a popular platform that almost every issue is super well documented. Forums, Reddit, like wherever you can find information.
Well, and also with with the manual transmission, if you're off-roading, it's not like it's a competition. So you don't need to have an automatic because you're trying to be the fastest one up the hill. It's more enjoy. If you like driving manual transmission, then you're just out there to have fun, and so it's more engaging, like you said.
So part of the reason I got a Rubicon instead of a, I guess, base sport, whatever, was because I didn't want to like throw a ton of stuff at it, and I still wanted it to be fairly capable from the factory, which the Rubicon is. Like it's literally trail rated, which is a badge that basically claims it can do the entire Rubicon trail as it is from the factory. And I think it actually means backwards, like too. Like, yeah, there's some, I gotta look into that. Maybe it's worth a whole other video, but trail rated is actually somewhat of a serious badge. Kind of like every single G-Wagon has a badge on the inside of the door that says Schockel approved. And that means I can do the Schockel Mountain in Austria.
That's cool. I did not know that.
So it's like, it's a badge. It's not just like, you know, bullshit marketing.
Well, and I'll tell you what, if you took this Jeep, a bone stock LJ Rubicon, and you put it on the Rubicon Trail today, I would love to watch somebody wheel a bone stock Rubicon LJ on the Rubicon, because I ran it a few years ago when I was on 35s in pretty stock form, and it was a challenge. And I know it's only gotten harder since then. So.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. But yeah, I wanted something I could still play with, so that's why I found something relatively stock-ish. There's a lot more Jeeps out there on the market that are heavily modified, but there's something to doing some of that yourself. And the only mods this has are things I would have wanted to do first anyways. So modifications. This thing, like I said, pretty stock-ish, stock Rubicon. So it definitely has, as you can see, has a bumper, has a winch. Do you remember what brand of winch they said this was? The original owner. It's kind of like,
it's a Warn. Yeah, so it's a Warn XD.
Oh, Warn. Okay, so
pretty sweet.
Kind of
good quality.
Yeah, older but quality. It's great. Steel cable, I guess.
Yep.
Which I guess a lot of people replace them with nylon cables.
Yeah, it's really heavy. I don't know how much this weighs, but I'd guess it weighs 100 pounds or close to 80 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's also, when it snaps, it holds a lot more kinetic energy or potential energy, excuse me, than a nylon rope, and so when it snaps, it can whip and hurt people or things
Yeah.
and a nylon rope will just break and drop. So it's a little bit safer than running a steel cable as well.
Makes sense. So probably worth something to do in the future, but I guess I'll stick with what's been done. Lighting. These are, I think, Diode Dynamics all around. I mean, at least they have like a sticker on the back that says Diode Dynamics. So basically the halos, LED lights, these things, which can be yellow, bright yellow for fogs, or like really dim orange for just like running lights, I guess. Sway bar disconnects, and this is a 2-inch rough country lift, so just shocks and springs.
Yep.
So nothing crazy on the lift. And then around back, we have I guess a rear light that's been upgraded. It's pretty darn bright.
Oh, dang.
And then, yeah, here's the Diode Dynamics sticker. So that's what made me think they got everything from that. So the lights that are not yet upgraded, everything in here is still incandescent. Same with the lights inside the cab.
We've got the roof rack up top too.
Roof rack up top, Thule, and what else? Oh yeah, and then these are also, the turn signals are also incandescent. So those are all pretty dim. I'd probably look at LEDs for those as well. And then the diamond plate thing is factory. This we weren't sure, like yours didn't have it.
No,
mine did, and it looks fairly factory, but maybe it was an option, or maybe
it definitely could be an option. It's welded to the frame, so not factory.
Not factory. Okay. Works good, looks good. And then the tires are, the wheels are factory. The tires are not. These are 265, 75, 16, so 31.5-inch tires ish. This is the factory tire right here. Actually, the original OEM one built. Yeah, it still has the date code.
Oh God,
yeah,
probably expired.
2005. So you shouldn't run that technically, and that doesn't even match the other tires. So really, what you should do is buy 5 tires and just like constantly rotate all of them. But I don't think that's ever been done. The rear tires on this are definitely more worn than the front. So tires are probably like what's up next. Inside, pretty much completely factory. Like, I don't think anything's been done. Was this auto-dimming mirror factory?
I think that has to be.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
It seems, yeah. It's even got like little map lights that come down and they turn on with with those.
That's awesome.
Which is just really funny. Yeah.
This is, you got the luxury version.
Yeah, this is the fancy version. I don't love the seats, honestly. They're fine. Like they're actually pretty comfortable, but
yeah, I rocked mine for a long time. I did enjoy them, but you could there's a big market for Jeep stuff, so sell them, replace them.
Yeah, so I guess that's what will take us to the next and last section of this video, future plans. And I'll actually do a whole video on like dedicated, like lining everything out. But as a rough synopsis, definitely need tires. I'd probably do 33s maybe, probably not 35s yet. And what else? Replace the winch line with nylon. Finish doing lighting all around, LEDs. A head unit with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all that stuff. That's actually on the way. So that's going to be like probably one of the first things. Just making it a bit more, I don't know. There's research holes for everything, like rabbit holes. It's ridiculous. And even with head units and stuff, it was like, some people were like, oh, get like marine grade ones that are like, you can get wet and stuff. And it's like, I don't know, there's a lot. And then I guess build a thing in my garage to like hoist the top off, which would be cool. I forgot to mention the owner did include a Bimini top and a soft top by Best Top.
Awesome.
So like I've got tops covered pretty much. And I'm thrilled that I found one with a factory hard top installed at the factory, because that means the wiring was done for the rear wiper and the rear defrost, which is, I guess, a sought after thing.
Half doors. You want half doors.
I want half doors. That's also on the list. What else? What else should I add to this thing? Definitely want to get you guys input in the comments, because I'm brand new to Jeep life. Like,
should he go hardcore rock crawler build, or should he go overland camping build? What do y'all think?
There's so many things and options with the LJ, or just Jeeps in general. So maybe I'll even mention briefly, I know this video is super scattered, but like, if there's other people that have been in my boat of like, oh, I live in Colorado, there's lots of trails out here, I should get something. I thought hard, almost bought a Jimny, like Isuzu Rodeo Sport, Isuzu Via Cross, like weird, quirky, fun off-roaders. I still think those would be fun. I saw a Rodeo Sport the other day on the way to an event, and I was like, that's super sick, because they're super rare too. I just like rare things. And so I bought a Jeep.
Right.
Which is the opposite. But what's great is like these are like the unicorn holy grails of Jeeps. Like a lot of people, even JK, JL owners are like, yeah, the LJR is like the GOAT, as you say. And if you want to do the boomer thing of like, you know, figuring out how many exist, like roughly 300 white LJR manuals exist.
Okay.
So it's still like a rare, especially in the scope of, I don't know how many million TJs they made.
Right.
A lot. So definitely rare, but I didn't buy it because of that, because it's still a Jeep. Most people are just like, oh, Jeep.
Yeah.
On one hand, it's less exciting because everyone has them. On the other hand, it's pretty exciting because everyone has them.
Yeah.
And everything that you could want to know is out there. So let me know what else I should be looking at. What tires do you recommend? I mean, sky's the limit with this thing. There's a lot of mods I could do. I'm going to try to retain myself a little bit. And yeah, welcome to a brand new channel. And drop a like, drop a subscribe. We're going to do a video on Dials Jeep right there, so you don't want to miss that. And lots of trails and adventures to come with Tex.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us.
Say bye.